Welcome to How We Did It, a podcast dedicated to dentists teaching dentists. This podcast is powered by eAssist Dental Solutions, the nation's leading platform for outsourced dental billing and other services. All of the guests are winners of eAssist's Top Practice Award, who share their experiences, best practices, and what sets them apart in their communities. Their opinions and recommendations are their own, and you should consult with your own professional advisors with respect to your own practice. Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of How We Did It, our podcast dedicated to dentists teaching dentists, featuring our Top Practice Award winners. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Stephen Cheung. Thank you for joining me. Happy Friday.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, to start things off, do you mind introducing yourself and your practice to our audience?
Yeah. My name's Stephen Cheung. I'm a general dentist, and my dental office is in Lodi, California, which is about 40 minutes south of Sacramento, California. The office, it's a family-run office. I'm the only dentist. It's been around for 48 years through 3 other dentists that's come and gone and retired. I do a little bit of just the bread and butter stuff, right? Fillings, crowns, bridges, restoring implants, and things like that. We've got a team of 6 people, 2 hygienists. Total of 4 days of hygiene, and I have 4 operatories. One front office person and 2 assistants. So pretty small. Family practice. We take PPO insurance and cash patients. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. Can you tell me a little bit about what your journey in the dental industry has looked like? Did you always know that you wanted to become a dentist?
Not really. I went to school with a bachelor's degree, in biological sciences. And then initially I wanted to work in hospital administration, right? Healthcare administration. So that's actually where my master's degree is. I have a master's degree in healthcare administration from USC. And I climbed that, the corporate ladder for, several years, and it was fun, very enjoyable. But I realized that, the work-life balance wasn't very good, the higher up you go. And so I decided to, switch careers. I had, in my family, my dad was a dentist. My uncle was a dentist. So, I got to see that they had a good work-life balance. So basically switched careers completely, went back to school, while still working full-time. Studied for the DAT and all that, applied a couple times. So it took me, a couple years to apply. Got into University of Michigan School of Dentistry. And so my wife and I, we, relocated ourselves, flew all the way out to Michigan and spent, 4 years out there. Very good experience, met some lifelong friends. And then we decided to, of course, come back to Sacramento, California, settle down where both our parents are from and start a family. And I did that and worked as an associate for a while through Pacific Dental Services, or otherwise known as PDS. The pace was pretty quick. I learned a lot, but wasn't, where I wanted to settle long term. And so then I started looking for a dental office to buy. And even that took a year, right? It was right before COVID, actually. So I bought my dental office September 2019.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of where the journey began. And then shortly after, I brought on eAssist. So yeah.
Awesome. Wow, that was right before COVID hit.
Yeah, 6 months before. So.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Well, you had quite the journey. I'm actually based in Michigan, and it's not too often that we find people who cross paths over here. So
cool. Yeah, go blue. Yeah, my wife went to Michigan State, so she's go green. So
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So how does your practice serve your surrounding community, and how do you differentiate yourself from maybe other practices that are in your community?
Yeah. So, I'm kind of old school in the sense that, we like building relationships with patients, right? And a lot of the patients have been there long term. And so we get a good amount of internal referrals, right? Meaning new patients from our existing patients. And so overall, goal is just providing like really good, exceptional quality, precision, accurate dentistry. And I make my patients know that, right? I let them know, hey, we got to make sure that this crown, for example, is fitting perfectly before I give it to you, right? So they got to get a sense of the quality and the accuracy, right? And all about just being a family-oriented practice. The kids are welcome, of course. I don't do too much pedo, right? But we still see their kids and the kids have grown up, so we see them, right? Just kind of a slow-paced, family-oriented practice where we kind of get to know everyone, get to know their interests, and we joke around with our patients, right? We try to have that lighthearted attitude in the field of the office. And lately, I've been trying to implement kind of going above and beyond and providing like some in some ways free stuff to the patients, right? Like little gift bags. So we started that recently to try to provide a feel for the dental office where you wouldn't really expect, right? You don't expect to have refreshments or coffee or fresh flowers in the lobby, things like that. So we're trying to do things like that to further differentiate ourselves from the family, oriented practice that we've always been. So
I love that. It
yeah.
sounds like there's so much intentionality that goes behind the patient experience when they step into your office.
Yeah,
And all,
definitely trying, because it's especially in California, right? We're pretty saturated, and so we get a lot of like dental clinics and things like that too. And there's still the old school, solo dental practice out there, but there's still quite a lot of us, right? So yeah, as you mentioned, trying to just do something different. So
sure, sure. And I love your approach to relationship building. I think, especially within the field of dentistry, you have a unique opportunity more so than like the medical field itself, where you can really connect with patients and build that relationship. And patients aren't just another chart that you're shuffling through in your day to day.
right, exactly, yeah.
All right. Well, we are obviously partnered through eAssist today, and eAssist is honoring your practice as a top practice. Thinking about a top practice within broader terms, just within the field of dentistry, how would you define a top practice?
Yeah, so I think in general, I would think the definition of a top practice would be one that achieves those financial goals, right? The numbers, right? The numbers that your CPA or your dental consultant or what you find on Facebook groups of dentists, right? To say, hey, these are the numbers that you should be hitting, and I think eAssist helps with that, right? So I think that's like the general term. For me, it's a little more personal, I guess. Running a small business, any small business, whether it's a sandwich shop, a mechanic shop, restaurant, or a dental practice, is very difficult, right? And so for me, top practice is really kind of what you, the dentist, like makes of it, right? I know I have friends that want to be a super GP, right? Do as much as they can in house, and that's cool. That's them. There's some people I know that they want to grow their dental office, right, from 1 to 3 to 5 to 7, and so on. For me, it's more about life balance, right? That's kind of why I switched careers to do it. So for me, a top practice is just making sure that you have time for yourself and your family or whatever you want to do, right? Your hobbies, and making your practice fit your greater goals in life. And then within that, confines, making it as efficient as possible, right? So that's a top practice for me. So for me, having Fridays off, such as today, to catch up on things, right, and spend time with my kids, that's always going to be a goal. And so I'm going to make my practice as efficient as possible to not have to work on Fridays, right? Is that the goal? So because otherwise it's a backbreaking, work being a dentist, right? And it's just a means to an end sometimes, unless you really define what you want out of it. So
For sure.
that to me is what a top practice is. So.
Right. I love your personal spin on that. I think oftentimes when we ask this question, it's about like the hustle and bustle of being a dentist. And I love how your perspective kind of looks outside of your practice walls and how running an efficient practice also allows you to seek the work-life balance that you went back to school for. That's great.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So can you speak initially to what brought you to eAssist and how having eAssist has impacted your practice?
Yeah, so for those of you watching the video, right, you're kind of on the fence, as a dentist owner or something, should you hire eAssist or any kind of outsourced billing company? Yeah, I definitely highly recommend eAssist in particular. and a broader approach, outsourcing what you can, right? Dentists wear a lot of hats, right? And for me, coming in and buying a dental office, realizing that the front office person that I had hired, the front office person has been around for 40, some odd years. They retired with the sale of the practice, which is understandable. And so I had to bring on someone right away. Didn't know what I was looking for because it was my first time owning an office, right? And managing the business aspects. So the person wasn't a good fit, but I didn't realize it at the time, right? Until you start to realize, oh no, you start to look at some of those numbers that top practices are known for, right? Your accounts receivables, your aging, your production collection ratio, all that stuff. And I realized, oh my goodness, something is slipping here. And that's when we realized, the front office wasn't a good fit. So, hired eAssist to really, clean house, right? And they did so in a very short period of time. Turns out some claims just weren't being sent off, to the insurance company. So that was a relatively easy fix for eAssist. And then they started offering guidance to me as a practice owner and to the new front office person that I hired, to really help us, be more efficient with the workflow of the front office. So that's big on in outsourcing eAssist. And then the second main reason that continues on today why outsourcing your billing or any other aspects is that's one less human resource headache that I have to deal with, right? So front office is the most important job I think, and I tell my staff every day is they can swap the dentist in and out, right? You go to corporate places and dentists are in and out every 6 months, but you need to have a core front office person. Every dollar and every cent flows through the front, right? And that's how we pay our staff. And so for me to have one less HR, burden or headache is important. Because I know eAssist, they've got other people, they've got their bosses watching my office to make sure that my insurance collections are up to par. So that's one less thing I have to help the front office with. So that allows my front office person, who does a wonderful job now, to work on the customer service that we talked about earlier, right? To collect, over the counter, or to have accurate financial estimates. So now, she does a wonderful job, and that's what she focuses on. And then the insurance part is another company. That's you guys, right? I don't have to, worry about that piece of it. And that is the biggest reason why outsourcing billing is important. Outsourcing your marketing, right, or your CPA and your IT, right, to have the experts do that. So that's one less thing you have to worry about. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's great to hear how eAssist has been able to support your practice, and I'm so thrilled. That's jargon that we use on our marketing team is to alleviate headaches. And so
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you brought that up, and you talked about how dentists wear many hats, and one of the goals of eAssist is to take one of those hats away from you so you can focus on what really matters, which is your patients. So
Right.
for sharing all of that. So being a provider that has an established office and a great culture, not only for your patients, but for your team too, if you were talking to a new dentist who was fresh out of dental school and wondering what's next, what do I do now? What would be your advice for them?
Yeah, I would say if they're fresh out of dental school, really take some time to choose the right associateship, right? Working out. And you won't necessarily find the right one right away, right? But you kind of don't want to get stuck in something to where it limits your experience. So you have a difficult time moving to your next step, right? So what I mean to say is, there's the corporate models, and within the corporate models, the associateship, each company or each corporate chain has their own focus, right? So if you focus on one chain and work there as an associate, you might get that type of experience, but you might not, say, do a lot of root canals, or you might not do a lot of extractions because they've got specialists to come in. Maybe you're working with a certain patient population that limits the type of procedures that you do. So you really want to find that associateship that maybe gives you that broader approach and skill set, if that's what you're looking for, right? So really understanding that. So for me, starting off at PDS, you got good at doing certain things. They use CEREC technology, right? So scanning things, and that's really cool. But then there's some things that I didn't get a lot of experience from because they had a good team of specialists coming to do those things, right? So if you stayed there long term and then you moved on, you kind of don't really have that skill set. And so yeah, when I bought my dental office, the previous dentist didn't really do a lot of root canals, right? So that's cool because neither do I, right? But also because the associateship that I went through didn't focus on that either, right? If you had that background, then maybe you could grow your office in that field if that's what you wanted. So really finding the right associateship is very important. And then also moving on from that, if you're ready to buy a dental office, really making sure that you find the right one too. There's so many dental offices out there with different models of how to make money, right, and how to see patients that it has to fit your needs and what you're comfortable doing. And honestly, that's really hard. I mean, it took me a year, and we're still working on my office, right? It's obviously not perfect, and there's things that we have to work on. And every office is going to be like that, so you just have to find the right one that works for you, and that's hard. So.
That's great practical advice that I think will resonate with our audience well.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, that wraps up our episode for today. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. And again, congratulations on your Top Practice Award.
Thank you.
This podcast is sponsored by eAssist Dental Solutions, a platform dedicated to helping dentists get paid faster and get paid more. Dental insurance billing services provided through the eAssist platform can relieve your dental insurance headaches, get your over 90 insurance receivables near zero, and help you collect 100% of what you are rightfully owed by insurance companies. To learn more about how the eAssist platform can help your practice or to schedule a free consultation, please visit dentalbilling.com.